Hello, this is Martin Brossman.
And I'm Greg Hyer.
And we wanted to take a moment to add this piece on to the beginning of our show in recognition of the tragic losses that occurred in France.
Yeah, it's very tough as to what happened there in Paris with, too many lives lost, too many families hurt, too many people, innocent people who did not deserve this to happen to them, nor does anybody deserve to have this happen to them. So we know that we have a lot of listeners who are overseas in the UK, in Germany, in France, other countries throughout Europe, anywhere, everywhere else, over in Asia. But we wanted to take a moment before the beginning of this podcast to have a moment of silence to remember the lives lost and pray for those who need our prayers. Oh, thank you very much for taking this moment with us, and let's hope this let's hope this doesn't happen again. Let's hope that we can put a stop to this. So, but in the meantime, let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Linking into Sales. This is Martin Brossman.
And I'm Greg Hyer.
And I'm Elyse Archer.
And we're excited about this show live on site.
Yep, we're still here in our backyard in Raleigh, North Carolina. This time we're over near NC State, actually, our sponsor, and we're actually at KnowledgeTree, which is basically it's a fantastic tool for larger organizations to get content to their sales reps. And we're going to hear more about that from Peter Mollins, who is the VP of Marketing here at KnowledgeTree. So thank you very much. And I think we do want to make one thing about the space.
Yes, it's a beautiful, exciting new space, and you can get to hear a little bit of it with the high ceilings today.
That's right. Maybe after the show we'll get a little B-roll and you can watch it on YouTube or something.
Right.
So,
open, energetic, and alive in a wonderful walking area from all types of places off of Hillsborough Street. Right. So it is a very energetic feel to it.
Very true. So I do want to mention thank you very much to our sponsor, NC State Technology Training Solutions, which is available over at the McKimmon Center. If you're looking to expand your technical expertise as a working professional, looking for continuing education credits, please go over and check out NC State. Go to linkingintosales.com/NCSUTTS to get access to the schedule of classes that are available over at NC State. Thanks.
Great.
Now, let's get into the talk.
Yes.
We want to hear more about what you guys are doing over here at KnowledgeTree. So, so tell us a little bit about what KnowledgeTree does.
Sure.
And then also tell us a little bit about you, because that's important too. We got to know about the VP.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll start with kind of the problem that we were addressing. If you think about when you look at a sales organization, especially larger sales organizations, there's 10% of the sales team they're just killing it every quarter. They know what to say, they know when to say it, they know how to advance prospects. When they're speaking to a CIO, when they're speaking to a CSO, they know exactly what to say in order to advance that deal. But the sad reality is that 90% of the team doesn't really know what to say when, how to position things. They're not comfortable with messaging different parts of your product suite. And so as a result, those 90% just either they will hit the quota one quarter and miss it the next, or they'll consistently keep on missing it. And so if you as a VP sales could replicate the performance of those top performers, look at what they're doing, look at how they're messaging, what they're saying in those sales conversations. And if you could duplicate that and get every other salesperson to message like that, then they're going to be winning, they're going to be advancing sales. So that's that's really fundamentally why KnowledgeTree was developed, was using predictive technology to understand what those rainmakers, those top performers are doing, and then push that out to the rest of the team.
Right. So just in full disclosure, if anybody has not visited my LinkedIn profile, or maybe you have, I used to actually be an employee of KnowledgeTree.
An alumni.
Of KnowledgeTree.
They were all excited to see you when we came in.
So, but yeah, So things have changed. I remember when the pivot occurred, and basically you identified that there was this particular problem within organizations that some people were getting it and a whole lot of people were not.
Right.
So being able to take and measure the effectiveness of the content or the things that your top sales performers were saying, that was a super big problem that organizations have still today.
That's right.
Because aren't salespeople mostly renegades too? So, maybe not renegades, but they have a tendency to come up, develop their own story, especially when they don't have enough support from marketing.
Right.
And then they end up being very, very anecdotal, and they try to say whatever they can to progress things forward. But this sounds like it helps them tremendously with figuring out exactly what content to use or what to say in a particular situation.
That's right, and there's two things to think about in what you're saying there. The first one is, in a small organization, let's say you have 10 sales reps, and you've got the one top performer, and she's hitting quota all the time. She's getting 150% of her number. And then you've got someone that's eager, they're excited, they're the number 4 person in the company, and he wants to get better. So what does he do? He talks to her. He takes her out to lunch. Maybe he has a coffee with her. Asks what he can do. That's great for a 10-person sales organization. But now a 100-person or 1,000-person sales organization, it just doesn't scale. So how, as a VP sales, can you replicate that? Also, when you have a really high growth sales organization, you're bringing on 5-10 people each month. I mean, the previous organization I was with, we had sales training meetings pretty much every month, and there would be classes of 20 or 30 people each month. And you're trying to train these people and bring them up to speed. Again, it just doesn't scale. You need to have automation that is able to identify and replicate those best practices for the rest of the team.
Onboarding, very, very critical point as well. Making sure that you can transfer that knowledge from sales reps, current and previous, into your new folks as well.
That's right.
And having those measurable results, that's very helpful. So
well, and you see that with turnover these days, especially inside sales organizations. Where you have lifespan or career span at a particular organization of 12, 15 months sometimes. And if you're spending 3 to 6 months just simply ramping up that person, you're losing a third or a quarter of the entire lifetime of that person with your organization. You just don't want that.
I want to just take a little off topic of the team and working and you have some very smart software running here and learning systems that you're working, machine learning technology, anything you can talk about the engine behind it without giving away the store.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the core of what KnowledgeTree is a predictive technology. So that is, it's not reactive and saying, let me search for case studies and give you a whole raft of case studies. That's meaningless. To your point earlier, when you're talking about you want to have sales reps that are not just simply saying whatever's comfortable for them. You're absolutely right, and what you're speaking about, if I can just rephrase it, is relevance. Because if content is meaningless unless it has relevance to the person that you're talking to. And so if you're just simply saying, oh, this person is a CIO and they're at JP Morgan, well, I've got this railroad case study that I use all the time, I'm just going to send it over to you. Of course, it has absolutely no relevance whatsoever. So the first thing about data science and this predictive side of things is being able to predict, well, which particular piece is going to work, which message, which piece of training, which materials are going to be important for me in order to communicate my value prop that's going to resonate for you. It's it's that giving world where I'm giving information that actually matters to you. And then the second thing from a data science perspective, from a predictive perspective, is I don't really care whether or not a piece of content or a sales training material or a script or a demo guide or whatever contains the word financial services 50 times in it. Why does it matter that if I'm trying to find something that's going to resonate with you, why does it matter just what the words are within this content? What matters is, did it turn into money? Did it actually lead to sales? And so you have to be able to analyze whether or not this message, this upsell, this white paper, this case study, this presentation deck, this script, whatever, if that actually drove money, that's what ought to be used. So I think earlier we were chatting and you had mentioned that the importance of revenue as the, content is king, they say, and I think you put it best by saying revenue is king. I couldn't agree more. I mean, that means that you have to assess your every sales motion and whether or not it's actually contributing to revenue. So machine learning, predictive, absolutely, as long as it's focused on what's converting, what's turning into money.
When you're working with, if someone wasn't knowledgeable with products like this, traditionally when you've got the top salesperson, the last thing they want to do is give away all their secrets to the beginner.
Right.
So how are we getting the buy-in and win on this in this process?
Right.
Because you are going to be implementing this in old school, and you've got salespeople are generally autonomous running machines where they're set up to compete.
Right.
And that's what makes them great. They want to be at the top.
That's right.
So usually the top performer doesn't want to give away his best trades until he's so far ahead he can give you the beginnings of it. Like the cook leaving the recipe out,
That's
a piece
exactly.
of the recipe out. So how does something like this deal with the social dynamics of that?
Right, absolutely. So probably the biggest element is when reps themselves can see that using a technology, any technology, it doesn't even need to be KnowledgeTree, but any technology, if they see that they're getting value out of it, if they're able to do their business better and get more sales, they're going to start using it. And I think from just now back to KnowledgeTree, speaking about us, the thing that we're most proud about is about our adoption rates within our customers. Once it's in place, there's a virality to it, and people adopt it very quickly. And the reason why is because it's able to push relevant materials to reps, and that includes top performers and bottom performers. And it makes it much, much easier for them to find that material, find the scripts, find the training guides, find the data sheet, whatever, and share it very quickly. And if we weren't adding value to that top shelf rep, then they wouldn't be using it. And so that's the thing that we're most proud of. And so because they like to use it, because they themselves get value out of it, they do use it, and then those analytics come back into the algorithm.
Well, what are you finding out in information you didn't expect when you started this? Like, oh my gosh, the pen is designed to be written this way, but they found it also works as a hammer.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's always to me interesting, because so many, we build the plan and then we go, they're using it here, we need to respond. And in my experience in history of social media, the best social media is, they're retweeting, let's add that feature.
That's right.
So what are some things kind of you didn't plan on that you've discovered?
Yeah, I think there's probably two things. So the first one is, we started off, historically KnowledgeTree was about content, sort of classic content, a PDF, a PowerPoint presentation. And that's where we started. That was our history. And we assumed that was going to be the core of how reps were going to use it. What we found was that a PDF is just one flavor of content, and you have to think of content in the most broad sense. It's actually it's not simply I'm a rep and I'm sending an email with an attachment. That's how often does that happen? But I'm on the phone and I'm talking to that prospect. What is it I'm going to say to them? If you are sending an email and it's a just checking in email, if I'm calling and it's a just checking in call, it's all about me. It has nothing to do with you as the prospect. And so there's no giving, there's no value that's being added. So the unexpected element was how much broader the idea of content really is. And you can almost think of it now instead as value add, and it's being able to discover value added elements that me as a rep I can share with my prospects. Could be third-party material. It could be in-depth insight about my own product. It could be data and studies that help my prospect to formulate a better business case. But if I don't know that material, if I don't already have it in my brain or remember it from some distant training, internal training session that I had, how would I ever know to mention that? How would I ever know to add that value unless I was just constantly researching? It's about the context and being able to get that push proactively to me so that I can add value.
I love that, because that's one of the biggest questions that I get from my clients, and probably from what you get from your clients too, which is, what do I say when I'm calling?
Right.
Because the dreaded just calling to follow up question is a mistake that a lot of people do, but you're annihilating that issue by providing them with, hey, I wanted to send you this. I know this is going to be relevant to you, and I want to talk with you about it, and
Right.
there's a give to get.
That's right.
So that eliminates just a huge issue.
That's right.
I think salespeople run into.
That's right. Well, I know you're a big proponent of it, and Greg. I mean, I know you speak about this topic all the time, that you have to give in order to get anything, and there's no expectation. You shouldn't be expecting it. And the way I always put a spin on it is just when you're writing an email and you look at it, how much of it is about you, and how much is it about the other person. And so, one of the things that we do ourselves and a lot of our customers do will be, you were looking at a record in Salesforce, and I mean, right now when you look at a Salesforce record, it's, you've got their address and you've got their sales stage or whatever, but that doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you how to have a conversation. It's all basically information for you and for your manager, right? It's not a collection of information for that prospect. So instead, turning that around and having the information that you've put into your CRM or wherever being sort of a key or a prompt to be able to give you information that you want to give back.
Yeah, because in our world, I'm old enough that there was a time when we had free time. We welcomed interruptions because we had some,
right?
And now everything is either a welcome or unwelcome interruption. Are we thinking through? Is this going to be one of the two?
Right.
It's all an interruption if it's not in my immediate plan where I'm reaching out for it.
Right. That's right.
And so this is so important that we're listening for what's the next piece, and providing people love to see ideas on how to package the information, so it's useful.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that's a great point about the welcome and unwelcome interruptions. So previous companies, I'm a marketer, so previous companies, I've built out many portals in my life. I've added content to so many SharePoint sites that, if I had residuals, then that'd be great. But the problem is that I would go to these SharePoint sites and I would tune them. I would add content. I would add updates. I would put in widgets. I would do all these fantastic things. And I also made the mistake of adding a site view counter at the bottom, which was really, really depressing to look at. Each time I would refresh the page, it would be me, and that was about it. And the sad reality is that we did a survey ourselves of salespeople to find out what their opinion of a portal is, right? The ultimate reactive thing, a portal, and there was virtually no one that was in love with their portal. No one loves portals. It just, because it is reactive. You have to think and you have to go outside in order to go there. So what that always made me think of was, how can I be proactive? How can I be a welcome interruption into someone? Because a portal or any other tools is just a tool that me as a rep, I'm only going to go to if I happen to think about it and I happen to have a need. But that's not going to help me to formulate a better business case for my prospect if I'm not thinking about going to this portal. It's not going to help me to engage an early stage prospect that maybe doesn't even know much about the problem. It's not going to help me to upsell a customer unless I, proactively go there. So when you talked earlier about the machine learning and the predictive side, why I think that's so interesting, and I'm talking about predictive generally, is because it's proactive, because it's looking at data and saying, being a welcome interruption, suggesting to a rep, hey, maybe you should call this prospect. Tools like Lattice Engines, Infer, 6 Sense, Predict, Sales Predict, C9 from Inside Sales. These are technologies that will say, these are your hottest prospects and you should call them right now. So that's a welcome interruption, right? I'm looking at a list of 1,000 people to call and you're telling me call these 10. So that's a welcome interruption. And then the way we think about it from our product perspective is, great, you've got those 10 to call. Now, what are you going to say to them when you get them on the line? So our welcome interruption is to say, it's Tuesday, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're trying to think about what you can do to those 50 prospects that are not engaging, that are not interested yet, and we're interrupting, if you will, but that's that good interruption to say, you should say this, you should send that, and this might help to engage. So providing some decision support so that reps are equipped with what to say to those prospects.
Right.
Yeah.
There was something else on your site that was fascinating to me in the fact that not only do you help with the delivery of content for people to send in emails, but also that you help them customize the actual presentation slides that they're showing to customers, which is so fascinating because I'm a big believer in you should sell the way your customers like to buy.
Right.
So your conversation should always be had with the customer in mind, and it was just interesting to see that you're actually equipping the sales rep with altering their presentation to help fit the client's needs. So I'm curious to learn more from you about how do you do that and what are the results that you see happening?
Yeah, I think presentations are the quintessential example of the unprepared presentation or unprepared sales conversation. Where you have an agenda and you are darn well going to go through that agenda. Come hell or high water, you will get through slides 1 through 47. And
good way to lose customers fast.
Exactly right. I mean, I think we've all sat through those kind of presentations where that's just what the rep is comfortable with. And again, it comes back to the point about, is it about me or is it about you? And clearly, a 1 through 47 slide deck is entirely about me. And because that's what I'm comfortable with, it's about my product, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. So, our model is, again, it's predictive, it's looking at, what's going to be relevant to a customer or a prospect and what is actually proven to generate revenue. And so you put those two things together, and that 47 slide deck, well, really actually only 13 slides matter. It's this case study that matches that persona. It's this product that's great for upsell. It's product slide that's great for upsell. It's this corporate overview slide because it resonates with a C-level person who's concerned about your company and whether or not you have customers or something like that. And so being able to then just use that algorithm to pull out 13 slides that now make sense, now suddenly every one of those slides is going to be a great match. So I think it's a great analog to just the whole idea of a sales conversation, that if your sales conversation is 13 minutes and every minute is actually value and giving value to that prospect, and you've got 13 slides and all those slides are tuned to that person's need, you're just going to have a better conversation.
So we've seen from some recent research that has come out, if anyone has been paying attention to LinkedIn lately, they've had CEB, the Corporate Executive Board, who's come out with a brand new book, which I'm reading and finding very, very enjoying. And I look forward to hopefully finishing that soon when I have a few minutes. But in there it mentions that this concept of the buying committee, that there could be 5.1 people involved in the buying purchase or in the buying process, and that a salesperson, the challenger sale approach, maybe that might not be the right approach, and actually addressing the customer in a slightly different way may be more effective by looking at those personalities or the personas of each of them. And I think they came up with like 7 or 8 different personas. So how do you believe that KnowledgeTree in its application is helping salespeople address that buying committee by helping them with preparing content or identifying which content is going to work best?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. So I think there's sort of two. Well, the buying committee. I think one of the data points I took from that book was, I think they came up with 5.6 people on average. Okay, so let's call it 6. Let's call it 6. So 6 people involved that are directly influencing a purchase decision. And so if you've got 6 people, how do you get them on side? Especially because, I know for so many B2B sales, as a salesperson, you don't have insight into every moment of that decision-making process. There's a lot that goes on behind the curtain. You'll have a lot of access at the beginning. There's a point in the middle where, there's a trough that comes in, and it's where silence happens, and there's decisions that are being made behind the scenes. That's totally normal, and it's to be expected, and it's probably when a lot of just checking in emails get sent, right? You have to have confidence that you've equipped your champions with the right information to build a business case where it's not only about your product, but it's about your ability to solve a pain that they quantified and feel. So how do you do that? How do you make sure that they're equipped so that when the curtain is drawn, that you can feel confident that they are thinking thinking in a way that you know and understand and you think will advance your sale. So content is an important part of that. And again, content writ large. So content in terms of what you've communicated on the phone or in person, what kind of data points, what messaging about your own product, about the problem, what content from a more file-based approach, if you will, of independent analyst research, case studies, or whatever material helps in that sales stage. And again, the algorithm helps for that to identify what makes sense in each sales stage. But you have to be confident about that. And if you're just simply sending over your favorite implementation guide, or the script that you're using, or the data points that you're sharing are irrelevant to that person and their business problem, how can you possibly be confident that when they go behind those curtains that they're actually having a discussion that's going to head in the direction you want? You cannot. You absolutely cannot.
Right. Now, are there some sort of tools that are built in to give sales reps an indication that someone's checking out the content?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's flags that will be triggered, and so if someone's looking at the content, great. In fact, we see that a lot with our customers, where they get a lot more relaxed about the curtain being drawn because there are signals coming from behind the curtain to say that people are looking at the business case, or they're looking at a PowerPoint or whatever, so that they know that things are happening. Which to me is always a better signal than simply opening of an email. Opening of an email is not a terrific signal, but actually looking at content, that's a much better signal.
Right. I think that we've had a few guests on before, and one of them in particular mentioned how we have to be careful with vanity metrics, and a click might be one of them.
Right.
But I with regards to the metrics that you are tracking, with how either reps are using content or the engagement that happens behind the curtain, those metrics are then gathered, I would assume, to help not necessarily maybe the sales rep, but what about marketing? Because it seems like, I know for a fact that it's a tool that serves both purposes, for marketing and sales. So in one camp it says the sales and marketing has to be a little bit more aligned. We've actually had Anna Stevens wrote an article on the blog, if folks haven't checked that out yet, about smarketing. Right? The whole concept of kind of it being sales and marketing being a little bit more aligned, which I think is somewhat required for social selling because of the need for content and the fact that sales is using more social than that. But going to let us know, tell us a little bit about what happens with the metrics and how marketing is able to take those and deal with them in aggregate.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, because if the content marketing revolution has come, obviously we all know that, and where people tend to think of it as top of funnel and or early buyer journey, if you want to be strict about it. And so what that means is that there's a lot of content that's being produced that's awareness based, that's lighter, that's more going to get people's interest, attract them on an emotional basis, perhaps. Less consideration is put into things that happen in the bottom of the funnel. And so, we've seen survey data about the frustration with amongst salespeople at the level of quality of marketing content. And it's less a factor of the marketing content being poor quality, but rather it being poorly targeted to the sales motion. So an infographic is fantastic for generating awareness and getting a conversation going within a B2B company at the very beginning of a journey. It's not so great for closing a deal. Same goes for a lightweight product video that's just simply a teaser or some kind of intro video. I don't want that. If I'm evaluating a piece of software, let's say, or I'm evaluating a pharmaceutical product, or if I'm evaluating an engineering firm or whatever, I don't want to get a one-pager that's just simply saying this company's great. I want to understand how it's going to impact me. I wonder if it's going to be valuable to me. I want to see analyst data. I want to see information that's going to help me to build a business case. So you can understand why salespeople get annoyed with this wave of content marketing top of funnel assets. So what we do is we look at the performance of content in the bottom of the funnel, whether salespeople are using it or not. And that helps marketing in a number of ways. So first off, it helps them to identify which ones are winners and losers in their content portfolio. And so if there's a piece that's just constantly being correlated with wins, maybe there's something happening. If there's a piece that's constantly being correlated with wins in a particular industry, for a particular product, for a particular persona, that gives you a great sense for how you should be pushing content and how you should be making new content. It also helps you identify gaps. So if there's, reps are using, just back to that railroad case study, if they're using the railroad case study over and over again for financial services, well, you can see that. Classic portal, what are you going to know? You're going to know that one rep downloaded one document once, and whether they left it on their desktop or they sent it 1,000 times, you'll never know. Whether it was associated with revenue, you'll never know. And so when marketers are spending 15-16% of their budget on average on content, and yet they can barely make a real correlation to revenue, other than the fact that, top of funnel metrics, like they downloaded an ebook and then went through a sales process, and down here at the bottom they closed. Trying to make that revenue attribution to an ebook conversion at the very top a little bit, it's a little bit more remote versus an implementation guide, a case study set, a presentation on a business case that are happening in the bottom of the funnel. You can make a much tighter correlation to revenue that way. So absolutely, and I think this marketing approach too, you're absolutely right. I mean, if sales and marketing, it's increasingly the barrier between sales and marketing is just nonsense right now. I mean, marketing is helping out in the bottom of the funnel. Sales is feeding data back up to influence the top of the funnel. So they are absolutely closely connected. And if you don't know as a marketer what's happening in the bottom of the funnel, it's impossible for you to have a good relationship. So,
Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm curious, for reps who are calling on a prospect for the very first time, how would they incorporate this strategy? Would they send the content first and then call to follow up on it, assuming they have an email address? Or how does this help you break into a brand new prospect as well?
Yeah, so it's essentially you can think of it like decision support. So it's not automated in the sense of it's not going to automatically send a piece of content. So you're very right when you say, how's it going to help me as a sales rep to have that motion? Generally, there's two aspects to it. There's one, it's kind of predicting which call script, which other material is going to make sense. So as I pick up the phone, if the phone is the first thing I'm doing, maybe they came to my website and it's time for me to call them. Great, I'm going to call them. What are some interesting data points to share? It'll pop that up in my CRM, let's say, and I give them a call. Then what's the follow-up that I'm going to do? So then there's a piece of content that would be recommended. Maybe that's an attachment I send. Maybe it's me pointing to some third-party data or the like.
Got it.
Yeah.
Let's break the ice.
In the buyer's journey, that it's so important that we have the content for each stage they go through. So you've got the beginning stages, then you've got the closing, and then they have intervals in between.
Right.
And any comments about some of the intervals you find which are critical, because again, it's usually top of funnel or beginning of buyer's journey, and then but there's more and more finer distinctions based on different personas. Any comments on the divisions you see?
Yeah, well, and there's some data that we see that's sort of global for folks. There's different kinds of content that perform better at the beginning of a journey. Things like video, things that are more awareness-like but still detailed, things that are very data-centric. And then as you get later, some of the global things that we see as well we're analyzing literally hundreds of thousands of sales interactions, and so there's a lot of data. Later in the sales process, you're seeing a lot more implementation type material, a lot more case studies, a lot more things like that kind of help people to visualize how your product, whatever you're selling, can work within the prospect's environment. And then, so that's globally. But then one thing I'll just sort of twist it around is that every company is different. And a gravel company versus an engineering company versus a pharmaceutical company, there's going to be different things that resonate with their prospects at different stages for different persona, of course. But then even within those prospects, you can have a couple different segmented persona, but really there's going to be a ton of segments in there that messages are going to resonate differently for those different groups. So that's one of the exciting things about machine learning or predictive technologies, is that you can have those global best practices, but then on a micro level, me as a rep picking up the phone, trying to call the director of IT at Global Core, knowing what is going to work specifically for him because of what's worked for other people in other situations at my company that are similar to that one. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Well, we're at about 32 minutes here, so I'd like to get back to what you're doing here today, but I certainly appreciate you taking the time here. I think that one last question though: where do sales reps use KnowledgeTree? So is it within something else, or is it a standalone product?
Sure.
Let's go ahead and touch on that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it really comes back to that point I was making at the beginning about in the middle about portals being that reactive kind of approach. Mm-hmm. And reactive just doesn't work. You have to be proactive. You have to have that welcome interruption to say this is a suggested next step. So that's why we surface in two places. So one is in the CRM. So I'm browsing, I'm looking at an opportunity, trying to think about how I'm going to position with a particular prospect. It appears there, and so it's recommending it right there. But then also an email. So then I may not be thinking about my prospect. I may not be looking at a record, but let's say that Martin, you just closed a deal for $100,000 and you did it by sending this and saying that. Well, that would be great if I've got deals that are similar, then I want to know that. And so then I have a set of opportunities. Elyse has a set of opportunities that are similar. We're going to get notified through email that, Elyse, it would make a lot of sense if you were to share this case study and that data with prospects that are similar because Martin closed a deal using that information. Okay. So proactively coming to you in email and CRM.
Okay. And what CRMs do you currently integrate with?
With Salesforce.com.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Any plans for additional?
Not at the moment. Salesforce.com just being such a massive market with folks there.
Keep you busy.
That's exactly right.
Need to serve the ones that were working.
That's right. Yeah.
So that email that comes to sales reps, it comes from KnowledgeTree, mm-hmm. and it says it tells them what deal and what content it recommends for that.
That's exactly right.
No,
yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly
nice. Ninja.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So one click from the email and you're sending that content over.
Well,
very nice.
I'm machine learning is something I have a personal passion to see its evolution. Of course, with Google opening up and sharing some of their machine learning technology to open source. Yeah. I just have this sense we've got a critical mass in humanity at so many levels with it.
Well,
it's exciting to see you're part of it.
Well, you're so right, and I think that's a great point as well. Is that it's not so much the tools or the tech, but it's providing an additional guidance, sort of an augmentation for the salesperson. It's not replacing the sales rep. It's augmenting them with decision support, with guidance that helps them to think, oh yeah, that would make sense because it might perform for my colleague. So supplementing and adding to them so that a sales rep can have a better conversation.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is excellent.
Very good.
Time to wrap it up.
I think so.
And let's talk a moment about the LinkedIn app.
Yeah. So so as far as just some quick social selling updates. LinkedIn is rolling out. There's someone that shared a picture on LinkedIn because I'm connected to one of the front end engineers at LinkedIn who I used to work with, and he shared a picture of the engineer who was lead on the new Android app for LinkedIn, pressing the red button on the box and releasing the app into the Google Play Store. So over the next few days, maybe even a little bit longer, they're going to be rolling out the new LinkedIn, it's codenamed Voyager, but it should be version 4.0. They've already actually had a couple tweak updates to it since I think you may have had it on your phone.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for it because I want to check it out, but look forward to putting up a blog post about that to be coming out. So that
and we want to hear from our audience too, what they think of it. Should what they'd like to hear us do a show on and other things, because there seems to be a lot of new features, customization developing.
Right. And one thing I do want to point out is that if you are an Android user and you're on LinkedIn, I would really recommend downloading and putting the app on your phone. With 400 million users, it kind of baffles me that how come only 10 million are using it that have Android phones. So I know that a lot of businesses have iPhones, but come on, guys. Put LinkedIn on your phone.
You're cheering on the Android team.
Come on. Yeah, I know. We're both Android folks. You're an iOS. We're trying to decide whether or not to go that direction. But I'm still, after my last experience with it, I'll just stick with the computers.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing your comments on the show and sharing it. And, of course, thank you for all those that have taken the time to review our show. And other information you'll find below.
Very good. So one last thing, do you have any ebooks or content out there that folks should be checking out whether it's on KnowledgeTree or maybe even through this blog post.
That's a great point. So we do have we do have a number of ebooks. There's sort of a marketing flavor and there's a sales flavor to it as well.
Very cool.
So all on predictive technology, your sales enablement plan, and how to align content with the sales process. So
perfect.
We'll add it to the show
We'll make sure
notes.
we put it in the
That's
show notes
great.
so that we can send. If you guys want to check out, learn more about KnowledgeTree, you can definitely come to the show notes here. Just go out to knowledgetree.com. You can follow them on Twitter at KnowledgeTree. That's because of no, I won't go there. But also they're on Facebook and on Google Plus, and might have a YouTube channel which has probably a fair amount of videos on there as well. So by all means, check them out. And if you're a sales rep that is definitely struggling with getting content or knowing what content to use towards the bottom of the funnel as you're navigating your buyer through the buyer's journey, which we know how important content is, please be sure to give them a call and check them out and tell them that you heard about KnowledgeTree from the Linking into Sales Social Selling Podcast.
And this is Martin Brossman.
And I'm Greg Hyer.
And I'm Elyse Archer.
And you've been watching the Linking into Sales Social Selling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us on Twitter, invite us to connect on LinkedIn, and even follow the company page on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Have a great week.
Hello, folks. Don't go away yet. We have something else to tell you. Greg Hyer and I have been working hard on developing an online training platform, and we have an offer for you to get some free training. We've got several courses, and they are, Greg, mention what they are for them.
Sure. So first, we're going to start you off with an overview of the history of social selling, kind of where it came from, and where we're at today. And then you'll go right into LinkedIn profile fundamentals for the social seller, followed up by Twitter profile fundamentals for the social seller. All of this is totally free if you sign up and register before the end of 2015.
And where did they go to sign up?
Go to socialselling.training. Say it again, Martin. Say it.
Socialselling.training. Socialselling.training.
Socialselling.training. Yep.
And they'll be available. And if they sign up for this, as we have more, we'll have more and more training rolling out in social selling, and they'll get a special discount if they sign up by the end of the year and take advantage of this offer.
Absolutely. So what's the next thing we got?
Well, we got something else, and it's coming towards us. If you can see on the screen, if not, imagine a beautiful vinyl sticker coming towards the camera that says linking into sales. It's a peel-off sticker. It is fantastic. It is our first swag of our show, and we're very excited about it. And Greg, tell us the dimensions of this sticker and what they need to do to get one of these wonderful things.
Well, Martin is holding a 3x3-inch vinyl sticker appropriate for your desktop, your laptop, your handwritten notebook, or the back window of your car.
A little big for your forehead. We just want to add that.
Just a little big for the forehead, yes. Unless it's my forehead.
Right.
But anyways, so if you like to get one of these stickers, they're totally free, and this is how you get one. Go out to iTunes or go out to Stitcher and leave a review on the Linking into Sales podcast. Leave an honest review. Leave your comments, put a rating in there for it, and then take your comments and head out to linkingintosales.com/sticker, STICKER, sticker. And then put in your mailing address information and paste in your comments into the text field. Now, the mailing address can be your home or your business address. It doesn't matter. It's whichever one you would prefer. And we have the utmost privacy with us. We are not going to take and share your information with anyone outside of Linking into Sales between Martin and I. But we will then take and put a sticker in the mail with a personalized note from Martin and I to go to you to show our appreciation for your comment and your review of the podcast. It's really that simple. We have a whole lot to give away, so we're hoping for a whole lot of reviews.
And we're excited because we've got new shows. We've got Elyse that has joined us, which is excellent. So we've got a third person on the show. And what I love, Greg, is more and more people are just excited to be on our show. So 5 years of the show going, and I think we've just crossed another critical mass. So very excited. Yeah. We want to give all these away so we can order some more. We really appreciate your reviews online. It makes a difference to us, and we always appreciate your feedback. Greg, would you mention a nice comment we got recently as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we got an email in from one of our one of our listeners who said that he had been listening for a while and just hadn't got the chance to get out there and send us an email to show his appreciation for the show. But he said that at the beginning of the year, he actually had a New Year's resolution to get back to the gym. So now he's in the gym listening to a bunch of podcasts. And one of the 3 days that he's in the gym, cycling away, powering away at that cycle up there in Vancouver. Ian, you know who I'm talking about. He's listening to the podcast, and we really greatly appreciate that. We think it's fantastic.
We love your comments. It really keeps us going and inspires us. We're just like any sales rep out there. They really appreciate kudos, acknowledgement, and others, and your feedback, so we can keep improving the show, keep it being a leading show in social selling podcasts, so that it's worth every moment of your time to listen to us.
Absolutely, and we certainly enjoy it. I do a happy dance every time I get a comment.
Me too. Maybe we'll videotape one of those, or maybe not. I might scare the children, but we'll see.
We'll put it up on Vine, and we'll put it up there on the Linking to Sales. Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
This completes it. Thanks everyone for your extra time. Look forward to seeing you joining our training platform. Hope to send out lots of these stickers to people. This is Martin Brossman.
And I'm Greg Hyer. Thank you very much for listening to this Linking into Sales Social Selling Podcast. You have a great day.